You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 148.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us. Before we get started on this week's episode, I wanted to make sure that you know that I am teaching a free class about how to handle the holidays. It's free for anyone who wants to join. All you have to do is register for the class. The link is going to be right here in the show notes. Let me tell you why this class is important. When you're childless after infertility and celebrating the holidays, it can be really challenging to figure out how to be excited about the holidays again. So this masterclass is going to help you deal with your family, create new traditions, and manage celebrations without kids. You have to register to attend, so make sure you check out my show notes and join me on November 20th at 6 p.m. Central.
Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. If you are used to watching me on YouTube, you know that I don't look like I normally do when recording. I am laid up in bed, unable to move around without the help of crutches and my husband. So yeah, it's been quite a weekend, friends. First off, I want to acknowledge that I did not do a podcast episode last week. My podcast comes out on Tuesdays, and we had a lot of noise going on with the election last Tuesday, and frankly, I just wasn't up for recording an episode. So I'm back this week to talk about something that I think a lot of us commonly fear, or women have told me that they fear, when they are childless after infertility. And it's this fear that many of us have thought about, and you might not have ever said it out loud, but it's this fear that we'll end up dying old and alone with no one to take care of us, living in a nursing home because we don't have children. This came to me because on Saturday night, I fell. We had just got done having a beautiful dinner, something we've had on a calendar for a long time with a couple friends of ours. So there were 6 of us total. It was this like 20-course tasting menu. Your girl looks super cute in a little leopard cheetah dress and some booties. And we got out of dinner and it was kind of wet and rainy. And I was heading towards the car and I slipped and I fell and I fractured my patella. At this point, I don't know if I need to have surgery. I will find out tomorrow, but I wanted to get this podcast recorded because I felt like it was really timely to talk about some of the things that have gone through my head. I've, had some time to reflect on what it really means to have people care about you. And within the last 24 hours of, me getting home from the hospital and settled in, I have had people calling to check on me, offering to drive me to appointments, bringing me food, and just showering me with the most overwhelming amount of love and support. And it made me think about how this whole idea of who's going to take care of me, especially since it's such a big worry for so many of us who've imagined that we would have children there for us in times like these. But the truth is, we just don't know how our future is going to turn out. But what I'm experiencing right now, if this is a sign that there are people around that love us and who show up for us when we need them, then I'm going to hang on to it because this is what is happening. And I may not know what happened, but today I want to just talk about this fear and explore where it comes from and offer some ways that we might be able to put it in a different perspective. So it's really natural to have this worry. And many of us grow up with this idea that you're going to have children and they're a guarantee for future companionship and care. And when we don't end up with children, it can feel like we're missing that safety net. In a society that often equates family with children, it can feel scary to imagine old age without a specific kind of support. And for many of us, that dream of having children was also a dream that we had of having someone at our side in life's final years or days or months. And there's this fact that the media often reinforces this fear. That's what I believe. And it's hard to ignore all the TV shows and the movies that portray elderly people with kids and grandkids surrounding them, or this fear-based messaging that comes up where society is suggesting that we need children to ensure that we'll be taken care of. But in reality, there is no guarantee, even for those with kids, that life will play out exactly like it's been portrayed to you. So I want to rethink what family and support means. So in this recent experience that happened to me falling on Saturday, if it's taught me anything, it's that family is more than just people we're biologically related to or the children that we might have had. Family can be chosen family. Family can be found in friendships, in community, in neighbors, work, and in the deep relationships that we create throughout our life. And I don't have children, but when I needed help, my circle has already started to show up for me without hesitation. Jack and I might not have had children, but many of us have built relationships with people who care deeply for us. And they don't have to be people that don't have kids. Whether it's friends, siblings, cousins, or partners that we share our lives with, these are the people that may end up filling roles we once thought only children could. And while it may not look the way that we expected, it can be just as meaningful and just as supportive. One way to ease this fear is by figuring out, are you creating a community? A lot of people complain that they don't have people in their lives, but are you somebody who is out there being a creator of your community? Because when we foster deep connections with people around us, we're actively just building a support system that can last. This might mean investing time and energy into creating friendships or making connections of people in your neighborhood, a meetup group like mine I have in Chicago, a spiritual community, or other social groups. But it's about nurturing the kind of relationships that will stand the test of time. Sometimes it's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable enough to ask for help and to let others show up for us. I know from my own recent experience that it can feel almost surprising that people go out of their way to help. But the truth is, many people want to help and support each other. It's just honestly, like, I see it as part of being human. And as we let others help us, we're also showing them that we'll be there for them too. Another practical way to approach this fear is by making plans for future care. While this might seem daunting and overwhelming, taking steps to ensure that we are taken care of later in life can provide a huge sense of security. This could mean exploring an elder community. It doesn't have to be a nursing home. Maybe it's like a 55 and older community that focuses on support and companionship and socialization. There's also a growing number of community-based organizations designed specifically to support aging adults who might not have traditional support systems. Many people are really looking into, at least, I know some people in my family that are exploring non-traditional aging options like co-housing communities, which allow people to live independently but a close-knit community upon them. So these types of communities can provide a strong network of care and connection and also offer that peace of mind that we don't have to have children to depend on. But ultimately, this fear is rooted in uncertainty. And I get it. We have been through so much uncertainty of knowing whether we'd become parents, whether we'd become moms. And uncertainty is hard for everyone, but especially challenging when you've already been through an experience like infertility. It forced you to let go of this life that you thought you'd have. But I really, truly believe that it's worth asking yourself, what would it look like to let go of some of these what ifs in life and focus instead on the life that you're building now? So what if, instead of worrying about the future, we focused on building meaningful connections today? What if we believed that our relationships, no matter what form they can take, will offer us the support and companionship that we need? What if we trusted that people who love us now will continue to show up for us in the ways that they can, and we show up for them in that same way? And this isn't to say that your fear is invalid and that it's easy to let go. But sometimes seeing the way that people are already loving and supporting us, just as they did for me, can be a reminder that we're not as alone as we think. So as you go about your week, I encourage you to just take a moment to look around at the people in your life who care about you. They may not be children or biological family, but they're there and they're showing you love in their own way. Take stock in the community that you've built and remember that there is no one right way to experience love and companionship as we move through life. And if you're someone who's still feeling the loneliness of the fear of what the future holds, I want you to know that you are not alone in that feeling. It's okay to have those thoughts, but it's also okay to challenge them. Because as I've learned in these past hours, almost 2 days, the people who love us are often much closer than we think. So I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you, and remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.
Hey, real quick, I just want to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called The Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.